So I didn't know if I wanted to do this segment because this was coming hot off the heels of April 1st, and we all know how the Transformer world needs to really get over this stuff and quit trolling the fandom. We're at a time right now where so much information is moving around that we don't have time for this kind of silliness. And an image popped up on a Twitter account, which I feel is a trolling Twitter account, of Johannes Wardon, another play on the word of John Warden of Hasbro, and posted an image, got shared around, and then the Twitter account got deleted just as quick. Now, it's an image of two items that have a conversation within themselves, which I'll get into in a moment. But what's fascinating about it is the fact that one of them is a Studio Series item using a Studio Series mold that would not fit within the ecology or the vibe of what Studio Series is, and then leads to the conversation that if this is legit, does that mean Studio Series molds could potentially find their way into a Generations or Generation Selects or mainline retail War for Cybertron kind of thing, kind of line? Again, looking way too deep into something that could potentially be fake. So what are we talking about here exactly? So an image surfaced, two mistransformed potentially from a factory items, a deluxe Clampdown, which is a repaint of the Siege Sideswipe mold into the classic Clampdown character, which was also a Generation 1 Sideswipe repaint, and a Voyager scale Devcon, Generation 1 Devcon, using the Studio Series Scourge 86 Devcon. Now, that character historically, one episode character, appeared in the episode The Gambler, kind of like a niche character, but has a little bit of a fan base because of his interesting, design and concept, and the fact that he's very limited on toys. There was a lot of times that the BotCon side of things wanted to do toys with him because he has that little gun on top of his head. They were like, oh, well, back in the day we had that Beast Machines Mirage that had the gun on the head. So they wanted to do a repaint of that one into Devcon. And while he did appear in the comic books, the toy never happened. And then they wanted to do something again. They're like, oh, hey, we got the Slug Slinger Energon mold. Why don't we do Devcon from that? And then, there was concepts and it didn't happen. And then finally, ultimately, in the end, they had the Generation Scourge mold, and they were like, oh, why don't we make that Devcon? And Hasbro's like, yeah, we'll sculpt the mold, we'll do all of that. And they didn't get access to that mold in time, and so they kind of had to make their own head sculpt, and they work with another company to do their brand new head sculpts. And what's ironic is the Devcon that actually did come out for BotCon, which was based on that Scourge mold, is not the mold that was originally made by Hasbro, and that mold made by Hasbro years later would be used as a sweeps mold for Scourge, and it still has that Devcon head sculpt on it, which is funny in itself. He has such a weird history, that character. And then, of course, Sakamoto even had his own ideas of how you could do a Creo and stuff. So point is that, so there's a history with this character being Scourge repaints. Small history, but it's there. Again, because of the second that character has a gun on its head, right away it's like, oh, it's got to be a Scourge repaint. So what sucks about this is mistransformed heavily. We don't get to see the face. So if it's a custom, that's just, if this is a fake done by a fan and it's a custom, the hardest thing to do would be to have a new head sculpt. Like painting up stuff is easy, but they turn the head away, so we don't really get a good look at the head sculpt. But it does look pretty, I don't know, it does look pretty legit. I mean, some people are pointing out how, like, the Autobot logo seems like a sticker and it seems like it's out of place, like it was put on sloppily. Some people are pointing out how the ab deco of the two little candy cane lines is incorrect, and the guy who did the custom didn't do it correctly, where Hasbro probably would have made a better effort to put the 4 lines of the candy cane deco on his abs as opposed to the two lines. Again, what I question more than anything is, it's fascinating that a Studio Series 86 mold is being used in that kind of situation. Now, granted, Studio Series 86 molds, Studio Series molds have been used in other places, specifically Bumblebee stuff used with the buzzworthy Bumblebee line, but we haven't really seen what they want to do with those Studio Series 86 stuff. If this is legit, this opens up the door to taking Cup and doing Orion Pax, or taking Blur and doing, you know, some other crazy characters, or taking Hot Rod and doing a Dark Rodimus or Black Rodimus, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it really opens up the doors to that kind of stuff then too, which is cool if that is the case. The problem is most Studio Series 86 stuff don't see a lot of repaints. Not Studio Series 86, Studio Series in general don't see a lot of repaints. They really are, most of them, a one and done. Here's a really screen accurate character. Here's its screen accurate mold. Here it is. You buy that once in retail, and we never repaint that mold again. There is some exceptions, but in a general and a whole, they don't revisit those molds again. So it'd be really, really different than what we're used to from that line. So I don't know. It's very, very bizarre. And I mean, at the same time, yeah, I rather have a Devcon character that's his own mold and done proper. I'm kind of tired of him being, you know, sloppy, thrown together repaints, because that first version that was based off that Beast Machines Mirage mold, okay, that's a new iteration of the character in the future of the Generation 1 continuity in Beast Machines. I could live with that. The Slugslinger repaint, I'm glad that one didn't happen. Didn't look too good. And the one that did come out for BotCon, ultimately in the end, that used the Generation Scourge mold from, I forget what year that was. I want to say 2014, 2013. I didn't like that one. Wasn't feeling it. Again, Devcon has this, you know, he has this very sleek kind of Fluoro-Deary design, and because of the Scourge mold and it being reliant on a cape and everything, he always ends up with that kibble. So I feel that if there was a conservative effort to make a Devcon mold from the ground up, Hasbro could engineer something together that could capture that show design and not have the kibble of a Scourge mold or something, and they could really do something really nice. And it would be, you know, it would be able to also match how his actual ship mode is, as opposed to being stuck to the confines of Scourge's sweep mode, the boat, if you will. I don't know. I kind of hope this is fake, just because I'd like to see a better attempt. I like the character of Devcon. He only appeared in one episode, but he was kind of a cool, kind of like small little niche character, and I would like a toy done proper. Let me know what you think about this. Again, I'm hesitant about, you know, talking about this, because I just feel it's too close to the fire that is April 1st, and it's something that, on top of that, just the way Studio Series toys are done, this is very outside of what Studio Series toys normally do, even in their repaints. So let me know what you think. Very weird, very bizarre indeed.